Welcome to FFC Top 3, a show where we, your FFC hosts, count things down from 3 to number 1. Thank you for joining us this week. As always, if you have a suggestion for Top 3, be sure to drop us a note on Twitter at FocusFireChat, in our Discord, email us at focusfirechat@gmail.com, or if you see the poll on Straw Poll, be sure to make a suggestion at the bottom of that poll for our weekly decision, finding out what we're going to talk about. This week, we are going to talk about something I imagine that's going to be a bit sentimental, maybe a bit funny. We're going to talk about our top 3 D1 moments, so Destiny 1 moments. And to start us off, Blue, I'm going to make you go first. What's your number 3, sir?
Number 3 for me was really just the formation of the clan. Not Focus Fire, but my original clan was Leroy Jenkins back when I was running with the DoD, and it's a lot of fond memories, really, to be honest. I can't speak highly enough of the guys and gals that we had in that group. Still good friends with some of them. Damo, actually, that's where I met Damo, who is one of our head mods on the PlayStation side, especially. And that's really kind of how I met everyone who would later become the Focus Fire group. Was Justin and Willie were also part of the DoD at that time. Justin was with Chatterwhite, and then I believe I'm thinking Willie was with Foxtrot, if I remember that correctly. But yeah, so I actually, that's what kind of started the crazy road down to creating everything that actually is right now happening. So
nice. The clan, I don't know, clans were not a big thing for me when we first started. I played solo. I didn't even get into a clan until almost year 2, I want to say, is when I finally officially got into a clan.
Yeah. I mean, and I think a lot of people, I think I really think that was a large, I hesitate to even refer to it as a subsection, because I really think it was a majority of Destiny 1 players, especially there for year 1 and probably even most of year 2, was because now, I mean, like the Dads of Destiny was one of the larger groups. We had, I mean, several thousand people across all the different sub-clans that, ultimately were there. And then we were, really good friends with like the Dames of Destiny and that whole, large groups that we hung out with. So for us, it was actually a minority to run into people who didn't have clans. But I know if you go take a stroll down history, or go down memory lane on Bungie.net for the TWAB, you'll notice that a lot of the D1 articles are extolling the whole thing with join a clan, social game, join a clan, like it was a huge point on their argument there. And so, and I think that was indicative because, for all sakes and purposes, Destiny 1 was kind of it was an icebreaker for this type of game. We kind of take that for granted today, but I mean, at the time, the concept of MMOs were solely like World of Warcraft. Like they were like RPGs. They weren't first-person shooters, really. I mean, you were very hard-pressed to find that.
Well, even console RPGs, you really didn't have that.
Right,
Skyrim didn't really have anything.
No, you didn't.
Oblivion.
You didn't.
You couldn't do co-op.
Yeah, you didn't have MMOs in the same, like today. I mean, the
Elder Scrolls Online obviously is now, but
I mean, even then, ESO was only on PC. Like it was like, most of the MMOs, if they were around, were PC based. And so I think that was another thing that a lot of people looking back might not, quite remember, is that when it first started, Destiny did kind of was a groundbreaker for a lot of things. And that was one of the big ones, was this really doubling down on the social gaming aspect. Like, we had Halo, which was, you could play with your group of friends, but it wasn't the same as like as a actual formal clan that was supported in game with like the intent of like, helping level up your clan and all that stuff. That didn't really, there wasn't a lot of it, and there wasn't a lot of it in the first person shooter environment, especially. So it was, I mean, It was rough the first couple of years because I helped with like community management with the DoD, with the family clans and stuff like that. So it was definitely getting that concept across to people who weren't used to it. It was fun, I dare say, in some ways.
So, Beard, are you now a superhero after that thunderstrike?
Yes, I am Jiminy.
Wicked in chat. I need to change pants.
Yeah, really. Yeah, if you guys hear anything else, I will try to mute myself and catch it if it seems like it's like super close. But apparently there's a lightning storm going on outside. No real rain or anything, but welcome to spring. Yeah, I have way too many moments in Destiny 1 that actually mean a lot to me. Mm-hmm. Number 3, though, I think would actually have to be one from Bungie itself, where they gave me the Stormcaller Quest on Warlock.
Ah, yes. The first subclass story mission.
Oh, God. And I played through all of them, because I eventually had a Hunter, a Titan, and a Warlock. But the Warlock, of course, as many of you probably know, means a lot to me more than anything else. I play it the most out of all the classes. I still have the most fun with it in every sense of the word. It's just a super fun class for me to play, all in all. That being said, though, the Stormcaller Quest and the amount of like lore and story that kind of goes into it, felt like it was what they tried to capture more than any of the others, with the stuff that they then did in D2. Mm-hmm. The way that you went from point to point and became more like in tune with your character, more in tune with the subclass as a whole. As well as also just being able to listen more to like how Ikora would say what a warlock is about, or like what the points of the Stormcaller would be for as you went along and proceeded through the quest. I don't know. I just got more of a sense of connection with the warlock after that moment. And I think that is overall why that will always kind of be a top 3 moment for me. I don't know necessarily where, but it will always definitely be a top 3 moment for sure.
I will say this as a hunter and be kind of like a heretic, but the Stormcaller mission was my favorite too, and I did not play Warlock. I literally only played Warlock to get to that mission.
Yeah.
And that was my favorite of the story missions too. I mean, yes, learning about Tevis and everybody and the Sunbreakers was cool, but the mission where Ikora is basically taking you through a thunderstorm and teaching you how to do it was
pretty awesome.
That was one of my favorites too.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that has said that they've hated that mission overall, just because again it made you feel a connection to your character, I think, more than the others had. Sure, pulling the bow and everything for the Night Stalker is so important. Understanding the history and where the Sunbreakers went is super important and necessary. But when all is said and done, when you're connecting to your character, that's the ultimate display of doing so in my mind, is the Stormcaller.
So my number 3 is a mission as well, but it is not for the same reason as your Stormcaller, like sentimental reason. I get scared real easily. I do not like horror films. I do not like gore or anything like that. I will watch it if like somebody forces me to watch it. I don't generally go and seek it out on my own. That being said, the very first mission, you meet the Hive, and all those stupid thrall come running out at you from the Cosmodrome, because you're sitting there and you're trying to crawl to one side of the Cosmodrome to get to the array.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I threw my controller in the air the first time I played it. And I had to like step back and like breathe for a second because my heart was racing so much.
Yeah.
But there's a few missions that did that to me in D1, and that is the first one that really like jump scared me. Now, obviously now I know what's coming. I'm fine. I'm not that big of a scaredy cat, but man, seeing Thrall run at you the first time was such a big moment for me. Because I was just like, oh god, I can't. And I'm like running back and forth, trying desperately not to get killed by just these things that we can one-shot now. It's like, ugh.
Well, the Hive in general, I think, set up a lot of those moments that made you go, I don't like this.
We awoken the Hive on the moon.
Yep.
That mission with, oh gosh, yeah, all those Thrall running at you, and then you have the Knights running at you and the Acolytes. Granted, that was the farming mission to beat all farming missions, but there's some...
That's how I got
Fogoth,
implication done,
not
man.
not Fogoth. The one with the curse thralls was the farming mission because that was infinite curse thralls, and you just had to nick one of them.
Right, but when you're doing like just regular thralls,
kill,
that
I guess that's true. Yeah,
that was an easy one to do because you'd have like 20 some odd thrall run at you
at the very beginning.
Yeah, that's really how I got imprecation done back in the day for first curse. That was wonderfully easy. And then there's also the meme that started with everything. That wizard came from the moon.
Mm-hmm. Such good times. Blue, number 2.
Number 2 was the Vault of Glass clear. It was the first dungeon that we did. Obviously, it was the first dungeon that Destiny had. And we raid. Sorry, same difference in my brain, which tells you how much I think about these. But you know, it was one of the ones that really just set the tone for Destiny 1 in my mind. Like it was a very. It was with a group of guys from my clan. We had one guy who had done it before, but everything else was we did it pretty much blind. And I think the first time through, it was one of those things where it's like the first time through, it was like 6.5 hours, 7 hours maybe, because most of the time I was getting distracted and wandering around. And, but then like, I mean, it got down to a point where as most like day one, D1 veterans, we could clear the Vault of Glass in like 30 minutes. 20 minutes if we were really desperate of getting something, you know, for those who were chasing that ever elusive Fatebringer. And so, Vault of Glass, that first Vault of Glass clear, that sense of elation and of, you know, having figured it out. I think that it's going to be hard pressed to find something that beats that sense of elation, especially.
I never got Fatebringer. I never got Mythoclast.
Mythoclast. That's even worse. Like Fatebringer, Fatebringer was fun. Like, don't get me wrong, I loved my Fatebringer. Mostly because as much as everyone makes fun of me for RNG, Fatebringer eluded me for like 2 years. Granted, I also did not chase it as religiously as some people did, but it was still
Justin.
Yeah. Justin was pretty dedicated, but Justin was similar to me. As soon as that Mythoclast dropped and we started playing with that, it was that was definitely one of our favorite ones. I mean, it's one of Justin's, if not his favorite one. But yeah, no, Fatebringer was a fun little hand cannon.
Yeah,
there's
there's
very
a lot
few
of them
that fit that bill too anymore.
Oh yeah,
It still is a very unique little pistol.
Well, and the thing about Fatebringer was it wasn't an exotic. So you could run it and you could still run another, like we had a lot of guys who did Fatebringer and then like Icebreaker, which was my favorite one. The other one that we saw a lot of was Fatebringer and Yellowhorn. You know, just because simply Jesus, the damage output of that rocket launcher was ridiculous. You know, and so there was a lot of that going on too. But I mean, I don't know what it was about Fatebringer, because if I remember right, it had Dragonfly, right? Didn't it have Dragonfly? Or not Dragonfly? Was it Firefly at that time?
Firefly, yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Again, kind of same difference idea.
And it was Void, if I believe, which was the fun thing. Yeah. So like the explosion wasn't a solar.
Was it though?
Was it Void or was it Arc? It was Void or Arc. It was not solar. because that was
I'm thinking of the alternate timepiece that existed. That's right. The one from the strike that was
right.
That was
yeah. Because I know it wasn't solar, because that was one of my favorite things about it was the explosion did not deal solar damage, which to this day is one of like the weirdest things to see as a gun with I guess it's Dragonfly in D2. But the explosion on Precision Kill, when it's not a solar element, it's the weirdest thing to see that. Like, I love it. I don't know what it is about that, but I just love seeing that. Mm-hmm. It was Arc. Thank you, Pens. Yeah, it was. Okay.
Because I was thinking from the matter of like the Thorn Quest, I'm like, that was not one of the weapons I remember seeing everybody use.
No, I'll be honest. The Thorn. Oh God, that Thorn Quest. Thorn Quest was a nightmare for hunters. I'm just gonna put that out there. The very first Thorn Quest, I hate all you guys who had Void subclasses.
But, Beard, you're number 2 now.
Number 2 for me is going to probably be a little bit more overbearing in a way for the game, but it would be the first time you step on the Dreadnought. The Dreadnought itself was just such a different experience compared to the rest of the previous stuff that we had seen with Destiny 1. And at least for me, like getting onto a ship like that and saying, well, there's a lot of stuff that's going on here that's pretty dang important for the rest of how this game is going to be. And being able to see the architecture in full, I think, was very cool in a lot of rights for Destiny 1. Just to really get a full sense on like what the Hive were all about at that point.
Mm-hmm. It was just so massive compared to a lot of things that we had seen so far.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of short, but yeah, I really just do enjoy the Dreadnought. I hope we kind of go back to it at one point. Just because I think it would be pretty cool to see what it's been doing this whole time, if there is any reason for it. And
would
maybe
it get more crusty? Or would it start falling apart? That's my question.
I would figure, considering it's Oryx Throne World, it would start to fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thinking, anyway. I would think it would be the opposite of it being put together ever again. I really do think it's just about done.
Like another Shattered Throne?
Yeah, something like that.
The weird thing about it, though, too, is that it's kind of half and half, right? Because it's...
Yeah.
I mean, so it's like, part of it I can totally see, like, I kind of think of it as like a snake shedding its skin, because it's part and parcel. Like there's definitely a significant portion of it that's blah 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 blah. That's the throne world, but it's also I completely blanked on the word that I was going with halfway through that sentence.
Yeah.
But it's also it is also the scrimshawed carcass of Akka as well.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember what I used to call it? That's not suitable for podcast.
Yes, and I love and hate you for that, because that mental image is always going to be with me.
That's an after we stop recording type comment.
Yeah. Yes, very much so.
Yes, it is. It is way adult. But my number 2 for D1 moments is actually similar to Blue's number 3, and it is actually my first raid clear, which was done on Crota like a year after D1 came out, and Misha 360 is the one who was my Sherpa through it.
Misha was a beast.
She was, and she was so patient. She put up with a lot of, Crota was not a hard raid to teach, but when you have 5 blueberries, essentially, who have never done a raid before, go in with you. Oh, it was rough, but we got through it. And she's a beast, and she's still one of my favorite people as far as, really introducing me into raids, because I never played with a huge group of people who ever wanted to raid, so I never got to until year 2. So I still think of her every once in a while. Number 1s, though. Beard. No, Blue first. Blue first.
I'll be honest. The one that stands out for me for number 1 is really the one that they used to bring it all together. The Moments of Triumph. Not just the first one, but all of them. Like, I mean, even though I kind of roll my eyes at some of them, especially later ones with like Rise of Iron and stuff like that, because at that point I was kind of losing interest in doing some of the stuff that they were, requiring. Like, even so, I still think that's a thing that I'm really glad to see being carried over into Destiny 2, because it does a really good job of encouraging people to go out and at least take, a cursory stab into these different aspects of the game that you might not have gone into do. Again, going back to Destiny 1 suffered a lot in the early days with people not being really social, and not in the sense of like chat, but like there were not a lot of established clans, if you will. And so when that first, yeah, go for it.
Here's something I'm curious about. The people who still continue to play Destiny, I don't see many people on any rosters that don't have a clan now.
Well, and see, that's the thing is, like, now with Destiny 2, I think that has, again, I think that's where it's kind of cool, is seeing how that community has really grown. Because now it is the norm. Like, now you see these random clan, which, I've always kind of chuckled at some of the clan names. Some of them are just wrong, but most of them are actually kind of tongue-in-cheek funny. But like, now, and they also have made huge strides with Destiny 2, especially in creating clans. There's actually like logic and ease to do that. It's almost like they have an entire team dedicated to making that a thing. Which huge
they
shout
don't have live teams.
No, not at all. Yeah, I mean, huge shout out to those guys and gals that spend way more time than I think anyone realizes on trying to figure out, the whole thing with like the in-game LFG. That didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was I mean, that was not, did that happen in D1 or was that a D2 thing? I don't even know if it was in
that
D1.
Was a D2 thing.
Wasn't it D?
Like the Nightfall where you go in and it'll
like it automatically, it automatically, or the
that's
buddy.
D2.
That's D2, yeah. Because I was like, because it used to be, what was it, IO? Wasn't it? Or no, 100. God, what
Venus?
was it? No. The website that everyone used. I'm trying to remember.
Oh, .io?
.io, I think was, I don't know. I can't remember. I never used it. I always had a clan. But yeah, I mean, so like the Moments of Triumph was another, like, especially that first one. It was like, it was rough on some people because they're like, wait, you mean to do this, you have to do the raid? And it's like, it's kind of like what they're doing with Gambit Prime this time around. As much as I grumble about it, I see the point. It's forcing people to go try a game type that they might not have tried before. As much as I complain and moan and groan about it, and will never ever touch it other than getting it lore. Yeah, that's my number one though. Is as much pain as it did cause, it also really made you appreciate the different aspects of the game that you might not. You get in a familiar rhythm. And this forced you out of that rhythm. I thought that was really cool.
It's also a good recap to make you play older content.
Yeah. Don't bring that up. It's a bit of a sore subject for Beard that we can't play missions on.
I know. Beard, what's your number one?
You had to say that.
Sorry.
That's like the interview. That's like the interview. That's like the Let's Chat with John. Now, before you throw me under the bus, let me...
God.
Anyway, number one is I don't know. I've got like 5 different moments that are really swimming in my head, and this has been my problem the whole time that I've been like thinking about this over the course of the week. Which one do I want to pick?
Number 3, go.
Yeah, I was gonna say. No, I think number one would actually have to be the point that it all sort of came to a head, I think, if you will, with the way that Destiny 1 was portrayed, and that really was with the Rise of Iron expansion, just at the end of it. When you became a young wolf, and even though Saladin doesn't remember it, Bungie, I still do enjoy that moment quite a bit. I still think that it's extraordinarily important for the way that the entirety of the expansion and really what the entirety of the game kind of meant at that point. Because you were, this whole time you were regarded further and further as somebody that was like really important. You were growing within ranks and whatnot. and then to be given the title of Iron Lord by the end of it was just extraordinarily important, I think, for how everything else can kind of be viewed from then on. But yeah,
lighting the fire.
Yeah, well, and then what you did afterward, where of course you were rekindling the forgotten fires around the temple and
statues.
Whatnot with the statues. Yeah. Absolutely. I think that was just so important to talk about the legacy of what was going on with the Iron Lords themselves and how they were just that well respected besides. And then, of course, having some of that challenged from what we've now got in D2, that they might not have been quite so noble in a lot of rights.
Which is nice, I think.
Yeah, I think it kind of peels back the layers a little bit more on how that whole story kind of played out. But definitely just huge props to like how that whole thing, I think, played out. And considering they did it in a relatively short amount of time, because they, from like a production standpoint, I think like Rise of Iron in general is really impressive because they have like no real understanding of what they were trying to do with D2, and they were like, we need something else to fill the gap. I think it was like 6 months or less, and they put together Rise of Iron. I think it's super impressive. It shows exactly what they're able and capable of doing within that time. So yeah, just major props to the team for Rise of Iron. I know not a lot of people liked it. I think it was definitely not universally liked, but I had a lot of fun. Being that I took a lot of time off from Taken King before Rise of Iron came out, I did not stop playing Rise of Iron after it was released. I could not stop or put it down after that point. I just had way too much fun with it.
That is like one of my favorite chapters, I would say, in the Destiny franchise.
Well, it's also kind of like The Hobbit, where it was like a little bit more,
it's also heartbreaking.
It was, I'm going to say just the connections and those involved with it. Absolutely.
That final fight scene where you're fighting the 3 Iron Lords that had been transformed. Right. It's rough.
Yep. It's okay. They'll be back.
Yeah. On a happier note, my number 1 is the moments in raids where your clan or your raid team
boops you,
sets you up to do something that you weren't expecting to happen. The boop wall is one of them. It's just those moments.
Go touch the ball of light, quick! It's gonna be fine.
Yeah, like it's. Marley, go first so we can help pick you up when you fall, because I'm terrible at platforming. Oh my god. So those moments in raids, super awesome Best Friends Forever clan, which is my clan in Xbox from D1. They are all amazing. There's about 7 of us in the clan, and they are ornery people. They pushed me out to do the boop wall. Although my absolute favorite moment happened in Crota, and we had Kevin, who is Bent Squirrely. I'm going to give him a shout out on here. He was running Void Titan. He was running Bubble Titan.
Oh no!
And we were doing like just the normal Galahorn type strat, rocket launcher strat, and we always set up on the right side. And there's a spot where I always stand, and for some ungodly reason, he decided to pop his bubble right in front of me as I shoot a rocket, and I just lost it. I completely lost my and just started yelling like, who put the bubble, like just all over. Oh my god. And everyone got really quiet, and he goes, I'm sorry, it was me. Just real quiet. Everyone just busted out laughing. It was just one of those good moments where I don't get mad in the game. I don't get mad during raids. If you watch me play Crucible, I'll get mad there, but that's a whole different thing. But during raids, I'm pretty calm. I'll do call-outs and stuff like that.
She's super calm in strikes.
As long as you know what you're doing in strikes, I'm super calm. I think it's a running thing where if you don't know what you're doing and you put a bubble up where I'm going to blow myself up off of it, or if you throw the stupid relic at the wrong thing.
This is just flashbacks of Vault. Like Vault was, because you had this, you had a similar strategy with that where you jump in the middle on Atheon, and without fail, whenever I ran with Justin's group, Fraggle loved his rocket launcher. The problem was that everyone was standing in the bubble that Fraggle decided to shoot his rocket launcher in. And without fail, it was a team wipe. He did the same thing with the War Priest. There was just, it was, oh my gosh.
The other thing that they would do is they would stand outside, speaking of the War Priest, or not the War Priest, but the, what was his name? Not Axion. The Rage of the Machine.
Oh, yeah.
Or not Rage of
Wrath of the Machine.
The Archon Priest. Wrath of the Machine. The Archon
Axis.
Priest. Well, the one that has the TV room. I
actually never ran that raid, so.
The first one, I can't remember.
I think it was the priest. Anyway, they would stand outside of the room and not let you in. Or they would stand right in front of the door and not let you in. And it's like, you guys are jerks. What the hell? Don't you want to get done tonight?
It's like, why do you do this?
Why are you the way you are?
Having a social game like this has totally changed how I play video games in general. I have a hard time playing solo now. Like, I can do it. I just enjoy having company and people who are going to make me rage at random things that they do or make me do or other, you know what I mean. It's just, it's a good system.
But again, that kind of goes back to the cool thing about what Destiny has done, not just with, like, for us socially, but also for the game space. Like, you know, the whole thing with, like, the battle royales, all these things, like clans and other games. I'm not saying that Destiny is 100% the reason why, but a lot of those games, you know, you don't see that kind of stuff, those bold experiments, until someone takes that very scary step on the thin ice that Destiny kind of did with D1. And so that's the other kind of really cool thing is, like, as far as, like, I guess, air quote, moments of D1. I mean, I'd almost argue the entire thing was a really cool moment. It's because it was a moment in time of, like, this really cool, innovative thought experiment as far as game design that just, I mean, I think it's still paying off in dividends.
Well, and for me especially, as somebody that's been a fan of the MMO genre, some that criticize the game will say that it's just an MMO light, and I'll look at it and go, yeah, that's the whole point.
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah.
The fact that MMOs can be so daunting with the amount of time that are required to put into them, I feel like Destiny just kind of hits the median mark of the kind of stuff that you would hope to see in an MMO, while still being pretty entertaining and still having a good amount of the lore behind it as well. Like the stuff I would expect from a deeper ongoing game that still persists and still kind of exists. So I don't know. Yeah, D1 had its flaws, still really does. D2 has its flaws, but through all of it, I think that it still reminds me very much of, like, how my love for MMOs sort of was when I was starting to play them and starting to really mess with them. And it's just really, really nice to continue to play the game, to see where it goes and how it develops and so on. And the fact that it started with D1 as that baby that didn't know what it necessarily wanted to be, as much as, you know, that's troubled development, it is still one of those things where you look at it now and go, yeah, you know, they kind of got their act together a little bit more, and we can see what it is they're trying to do. And I think that's the ultimate payoff for seeing this through from, like, the very beginning to where it is now. I don't know if I'd be able to do that again with another game, but at least with the way that Destiny is kind of going right now, if there's any title that I think I would want to put that kind of time and effort into, it would be this world that Bungie's kind of crafted. Because there's moments like, I think what all of us have kind of gone over are ones that we're going to remember probably to some degree or another to, like, the day that we probably die. You know, They're ones that have brought us together as community members, but are also ones that have kind of made us think on, like, even I would say, like, who we are as people, especially with mine, with the Stormcaller. Just like what it is to be a warlock, or what it is to be a titan or a hunter. And those are constant debates that I think I see on Twitter every day. Like, I don't know. I kind of lost, I think, where I was going with this, but just all in all, just where Destiny has kind of led us and where we are down this path at the moment is just awesome. I get asked all the time why I continue to cover Destiny as a title. I'm like, there aren't many other games that continue to persist and keep me interested. And not to, discredit any games that are single player like that or otherwise, but it's just an absolute point of fact. Like the way that Destiny is put together in its persistent world continues to bring me back to it.
Yep, I agree. And it's brought us all together.
Yep.
It's created a lot of friendships and a lot of connections that hadn't been there before.
Yep.
Which is nice.
Yep.
Blue. Yes.
What is next week's top 3?
I don't know yet, because I miscounted, and I shouldn't have taken it off the poll last week, so it's on the poll this weekend. So we'll let you know.
Okay.
Dumb.
All right.
Surprise!
Surprise top 3 next week. You should really come and hang out with us and see what that top 3 is going to be.
Hopefully you let me know, like, some point in the middle of the week.
I'll know Tuesday.
Tuesday.
I'll know Tuesday. Yeah.
All
I was
right.
getting ready for tonight, and I was like, I miscounted that one. I was like, well, I'll get it. I'll get better at this.
That's all right. Thank you for those of you who joined us for this top 3. I hope you enjoyed kind of this flashback, or a little kind of, I guess, dive back into what once was. And I guess you could still go back and play D1. A lot of that content is still there. But I don't know what we're going to do next week. It's going to be fun, though. Join us next time for top 3. And remember, everybody likes a list.